Good morning, students. Today I will do the rest part of the genetics chapter. First I will tell you about the genes. Genes. What are genes? Genes are the specific sequence of DNA. DNA, I have told you, DNA full form is deoxyribonucleic acid. So the specific sequence of a DNA segment on chromosome which determines the hereditary characters are called genes. In our body, in human body, there are total near about 30,000 of genes are present on different chromosomes. Chromosome 1, first chromosome, it is the longest chromosome. So the number of genes are more in chromosome number 1 and fewest genes are present on the chromosome Y because chromosome Y is very short. So few numbers of genes are present on Y chromosome. Now the genes can be present in pairs or more. That two different forms of a gene is called allele. A-L-L-E-L-E. So A-L-L-E-L-E, allele is the alternative form of a gene which determines a specific character. Like that, suppose capital R, leave it. Suppose capital T, that is for tall, height, tall. Small t for dwarf. So these two, this capital T is gene, small t is another gene. So these two alternative forms of a gene, capital T and small t, they are called each other's allele. So capital T, small t, they are the alleles. Now the genotype. The set of total DNA components of an organism is called the genotype. So what is phenotype then? Phenotype is the outside physical appearance of a gene, of a hereditary character of a gene, that is a phenotype. So outside appearance of a character which is genetically controlled, that is a phenotype, and the gene component, total genetic component of an organism is the genotype. Now I have said you RR, capital R, small r. Each one is the allele of the another one. Whenever it is capital R, there is a homozygous, same, homo means same. So they are present in homozygous condition. But whenever capital R is present with the small r, there is a heterozygous condition. So now the question comes, then what is the dominant? Which one will be the dominant? Two alleles are there. Which one will be the dominant? So the one out of a pair of allele, out of two members of this allele, whichever express itself means the superruling, that means the dominant gene, and which one is suppressed, which one is masked, which one is hid by the another gene, superruling gene, that is a recessive gene. Okay. Now come to the board. I will explain you everything, the rest part of the genetics. As I have said you earlier that I will discuss the rest of the chapter of genetics on the board. So here it is. I hope you all are ready with your notebook and pen. Start writing from gene. Gene is the specific sequence of DNA segment. So it is a part of DNA segment where it is located on the chromosome, which determines the hereditary characters. So genes are the specific sequence of DNA present on the chromosome which determines the hereditary characters. Next is allele. I said you the genes are present in two different forms. Now come down to the board. RR, two forms. Here also capital R, small r, two different forms. So these two are the alleles of each other. So the alternative forms of a gene occupying the same position of a chromosome is called allele. Now see the definition. alternative form of a gene, capital R small r or capital T small t, occupying the same position, because genes are present on the chromosomes. So on the chromosomes are called alleles. Next question can come. Then what is the genotype and phenotype? Genotype is the set of genes or the genetic constituent of an organism. Full set of genes are present. Full set of genes are present in an organism is called the genotype. But the observable characters means the outside appearance of a character which is genetically controlled. Suppose capital T small t. Capital T small t genes are present. Now, but you cannot see the capital T or small t from outside. You can see that this plant is taller in height. This plant is tallest. This plant is tall. So tall. This is the phenotypic character. This is the observable characters of a gene. Which gene? The capital T. So this observable characters, which is genetically controlled, that is called phenotype. So this is the genotype-phenotype difference. Now come to this point. See, capital and small r, this is a homozygous condition. Same. But here capital and small r, these are the heterozygous condition. Where one gene, this capital R, is superruling over this small r. So capital R will be the dominant gene and small r will be the recessive gene. As I have said you that the number of genes are present in human beings are 30,000, nearly 30,000 of genes are present. Chromosome 1 is the largest, so containing larger number of genes, but Y chromosome is the smallest, so it contains fewer numbers of genes. Every gene has its two alternative forms. There are two other alleles I have told you. Dominant gene, out of two alleles, a gene is dominant or superruling over the another one. So the superruling one is the dominant and the submissive one, subordinate one is the recessive allele. Next, I will give you one instances, some problems regarding sex-linked inheritance. Sex-linked inheritance I have described on that board. You look at over there. Certain disorders caused due to the heredity such as hemophilia and color blindness. They are more common in males than the females. Such defects are due to the recessive genes which occur on the X chromosome. Hemophilia is a genetic disorder in which there is a risk of bleeding to death because the blood fails to clot in them. Now, sex-linked disorders. Why sex-linked? Because the recessive gene is present, because the defective gene is present on the X chromosome. So, it is also called X-linked disorders. Here, this is a normal mother. Normal mother is containing XX chromosome. Colorblind father containing X gene, which is carrying this symbol, which is carrying the defective gene, but that defective gene is present in the X chromosome, not in the Y. So it is X-linked disorder. So definitely the female means the mother will produce the normal genes XX, but the father will produce two gametes, two types of sperms. One is X0 bearing sperms and Y bearing sperms. So whenever these two will fuse with each other, it will produce XX0. But here X is superruling over this X0. So this one will be heterozygous female, but the vision will be normal. The vision will be normal. Why? Because the dominant gene is superruling this one. But here this female will be the carrier. She will carry the gene, the defective gene, but it will not show because the dominant gene is present. But here also the same thing. So 50% chance of heterozygous dominant, normal vision, but these two will be the carrier. Here XY Here also XY. X0, X0. Here XY, here XY. XY the normal son, no defective gene is present. So if the normal mother is crossed with the colorblind father, then 50% chance of to carry the heterozygous dominant and normal son. But this female, this heterozygous mother, heterozygous carrier mother, if crossed with normal father, just the opposite case of the first one. If the carrier mother is crossed with the normal father, then XX, XX0, these two types of genes will be produced. XX0 ovum and the sperm will be XY, normal sperm, XY bearing sperm. Here if you cross these two XX, it will be the normal female. This will be XY normal male, means normal son. Here it will be XX0, means a carrier daughter. Why carrier daughter? Because it is carrying this defective gene, but it is masked, but means super ruled by this X, means dominant one. So here she will be the carrier but not affected. But this one X0Y, X0Y, no other X is there to super rule this X0. So this candidate, this boy, this son will be a colorblind son. Why? Y for maleness, it will be a son, but X0 carrying the defective gene, so it will be the colorblind son. Now I hope the same thing it will go with the hemophilia. I have shown you here colorblindness, same thing will goes with the hemophilia. So these two are the sex linked inheritance, where the defective gene is present on the X chromosome or the sex chromosome. So they are called sex linked inheritance. I hope you have understood, you have written everything in your copy. In my next class, I will show you more videos related to genetics.